Welcome back to a special edition of Sunday Agenda. I'm Lydia Serrana. Here with me, Rob Astorino. It's been a day. It's been a day. Incredible, complex operation. Operation Midnight, what is it called?
Hammer.
Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer. And then Israel is Operation Rising Line. They come up with these great terms. Quite the success, very complex. We're talking about these heavy bombs. B-2 bombers are the only ones that could actually carry these bunker bombs. 14 of them, 7 B-2s were able to hit those 3 nuclear sites and wipe out Iran's nuclear capabilities. A huge success. Let's discuss this further. And what it also means for us here at home, what it means for the markets, what it means for oil prices. With us now, the national president for the Zionist Organization of America, Morton Klein. Also with us, human rights attorney and Middle East expert Brooke Goldstein. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So, Morton, your thoughts on what Bibi is saying, what other world leaders and their reaction to what President Trump did?
First of all, I must commend Trump. I believe he will go down in history as a Churchillian peacemaker for what he's done. But the most important thing I want to point out is this is not only Israel's war, this is America's war and the world's war. In the rallies every week led by the Iranian mullahs, they scream death to America, America's the great Satan. Only then do they say death to Israel. Iran has terrorized and been at war with America since we took over the U.S. Embassy in 1979, taking as hostage hundreds of Americans. They killed 241 Marines in Lebanon. They killed Americans in the Khobar Towers, the USS Cole. They killed Americans when they attacked the U.S. Embassy in Africa. They killed Americans in thousands in the Iraq and Afghanistan war. And this is what people don't even realize. They were deeply involved in funding and training the terrorists who did 9/11. They worked with Al-Qaeda. And they're also been developing, Iran has ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles that can reach America. Why do they have to develop missiles to reach America if their problem is with Israel? Because they want to destroy the major non-Muslim country in the world. If Israel didn't exist, America would have to hit Iran anyway. People have to understand this. And let me finally say, why is Iran at war with America? It's not about land. It's not about economics. It's not about the Palestinians. This is a religious war against non-Muslims. The U.S. is the most important non-Muslim country. They believe, the Muslims believe, these religious Muslims, that they need to cause chaos and destroy the U.S. and Israel, that this will bring the Muslim Messiah, the Mahdi. And once that happens, they will create an Islamic caliphate where the world is run by Islam. People have to understand these sorts of things, which I think too few people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke, when these attacks on the nuclear sites happened, most of Israel was asleep. They wake up and they find out that the U.S. finally did what needed to be done in coordination with their own government, of course, Israel. And then, of course, they're bracing for more attacks. And now they're probably sitting here saying, most Israelis, I think, what's next? I mean, how deep and far is this going to go? What's your assessment of the next step, do you think, in not only in Israel, but kind of the Middle East writ large?
Well, I have to say that the American and Israeli power in the Middle East is supreme, and they have set a targeted strategic goal, and that is that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. A regime that is that powerful, that has threatened to blow up the world, that is the largest state sponsor of terrorism, cannot have the most dangerous weapon in the world, and that the Iranian regime will be denuclearized. This is not a war against the Iranian people. It is a very strategic, targeted, precise attack to demilitarize and take away the threat of the Iranian regime. And what happens next is up to the Iranian people. But I have to say, I want to just express my admiration for the resolve of the Israeli people. My friends are sleeping in bomb shelters every night. Their children are traumatized. The Iranians are intentionally targeting civilians, while Iranian civilians are being warned before the precision attacks. They're being given the opportunity to flee, and the only things that are being targeted are military and government buildings and assets and so forth. So there's this dichotomy. Now, what's most important to know is that the mullahs are not logical. They are theological. And they would rather burn the place down and kill every last man, woman, and child before they give up their power. And this is the unfortunate truth, which is why the entire free world has to stand behind the Iranian people, because we're not imposing regime change. The future is in the hands of the Iranian people, and there will be a power vacuum. And there's only two things that can happen in a power vacuum in the Middle East. It gets better or it gets worse. And that decision is entirely in the hands of the Iranian people.
We have less than a minute left, Mort. Talk to us about how bad policy, you touched upon it, 1979, the Iranian hostage crisis. We also know Barack Obama's Iran nuclear deal, 2015, Joe Biden lifting of the sanctions, giving a lot of billions of dollars to the mullahs. How did bad policy bring us to this point?
That was an atrocious deal that Obama made. By the way, if that deal was intact now, right now, all restrictions would be off. They could develop nuclear weapons. That's how horrible the deal was. They eliminated Obama and Biden all sanctions, enabling them to gain hundreds of billions of dollars in money. And let me tell you, they understand that by doing this to Iran, by giving Iran hundreds of billions of dollars, it will not appease them. This is a religious war against the West. I believe, and no one will ever say this, that Barack Hussein Obama made these plans with Iran in order to harm Israel in a very serious way. This was not appeasement. This was evil intent by Barack Hussein Obama. And I have to say, when they scream that this is these are civilian energy needs, this is not for nuclear weapons. Why do you build deeply into a mountain your facilities if in fact it's civilian? Obviously, this was in order to create nuclear weapons and destroy Israel and go after the West as well.
Mort, we would call that a mic drop, what you just said right there.
A boom.
Boom. Mic drop. Thank you, Mort and Brooke. Thank you both for joining us.